So there is a lot of Isekai anime coming in the future, so I am here to tell you 5 that will for sure be great. First off, let's start with Shinka No Mi Shinai Uchi ni Kachigumi Jinsei. In Shinka No Mi, the whole school is transported to another world. This setting is not unique and has been used to a certain extent in Arifureta. However, in contrast to that series, Shinka No Mi turns the wackiness levels to absurd heights, and this is where it excels. The main character, Hiragi Seichi, is the lowest of the low in the school's hierarchy. He's fat and smells and is disliked by almost everyone as a result. Hence, when everyone in the school is preparing for transmigrating to the another world by forming groups, he was of course not in anyone's mind, so he was transmigrated alone in an isolated forest. Surviving alone in a forest in another world turns out it's not as easy as we thought, as the wimpy Seichi can only hide from the strong monsters in the forest. However, he has luck in his side when he finds the seed of evolution that gives the person who has eaten it the possibility of evolution. Alongside this, he has an ultimate weapon, which is his own stench. You heard that right. Yes, his stench that can kill any creature with a simple whiff. Eating not one but various seeds allows him to gradually evolve and slim down, but the gags continue to come. For example, an absurdly strong gorilla falls in love with Seichi and abducts him to marry him. This is a great comedy, unlike many other isekai anime at the moment. However, it is not all wackiness. There's an interesting story developing in the background. After all, the world is not as black and white, with the status of the world being a lot less clear. The evil side is not clearly evil, and the perceived good side is not exactly good. The story develops slowly, and it's good, but the key factor for this series is the comedy, and how Seichi has to deal with how much he has changed from his past self. Prepare yourself for laughs, because this will give you many with its wackiness. So, our second series is Isekai Meikyuu the Harem War. I'm sure this work will be controversial. The title of the series was originally Isekai Meikyuu the Dorei Harem War, but it excluded Dorei slave from the title when it transitioned from naro into a light novel series. This might trigger a few things already, since in essence this is a series about the main character owning slaves. In addition to this, Michio Kaga, the main character, in the beginning of the series is looking for suicide assistance websites, which is a rather dark topic. From these two things, one might conclude this series to be rather dark, but this is a setup of the series to let the reader know that neither this world or the other is the paradise. Michi initially does not realize when he's transported to another world that it is real, and when he notices the village he is transported into being attacked by bandits, he at first just watches it, and when he realizes the villagers are being overwhelmed, he waits for a chance to step in, and when he does, he decapitates the leader of the bandits. Good. Michi, using the abilities he gained, slaughters the remaining disordered bandits. They're confused. Later on, he comes to realize that those were not just NPCs, but real people he killed, probably through the blood and the splatter. His realization does not come off as too dramatic, but it does give him a feel of how this new world is. Especially after a villager steals part of the spoils of the bandits, and the villagers decide to sell him into slavery. Michio is not opposed to this, and happily receives the money for the sale of the person into slavery. After all, he adapts rapidly to this different world, perhaps a bit too rapidly, but he had already previously accepted that this was a different world with its own order, and he simply accepts it instead of applying his own prior ideas to it. After accepting the world that he is, Michio has no complaints about anything. In fact, his first goal is to buy a beautiful slave that catches his eyes while he's at the slave shop. In a sense, it can resemble Shoot Hero in that regard, but it does not involve an overarching plotline. The story is mostly a slice-of-life series, with Meikyuu becoming stronger and making more money to buy a house and make a life for himself in this world. I believe there will be controversy around this title because of the acceptance of slavery and the sexual desire that drives Meikyuu, in part to buy female slaves. However, these are just part of the world the story is set in, and Meikyuu has a depressive personality, so he would never think he would be able to change it, so he never tries. The subdued start of the story means it's not exactly carefree to begin with, but it is interesting to see how Meikyuu evolves from his depressive self at the beginning to a more confident person that is happy, satisfied with himself. So look out for this series, I think it will be very interesting. For our third title we have the Eminence In Shadow, a series that stands out as, unlike the other works in this list, it is a much newer work. It began back in 2016 in naro, and it became significantly popular there, and subsequently as a light novel and manga as well. The story focuses on Sid, a reincarnated individual that dreams of becoming a mastermind villain-like character. In order to become this sort of character, he trains himself to become the strongest and strives to form an evil organization around him. The main character, Sid, has what people in anime would call chunibyo, but that's why he wants to play this mastermind villain character. In order to create the perfect setting for his chuni delusion, he seeks followers to be part of his organization, and also an enemy organization that he has to defeat. For instance, he tells one of his followers that there is an evil cult that is trying to take over the world, and his organization wants to prevent this. The thing is, Sid does not think they are real, and his ability to realize this is a source for comedy. However, this works because the novel is told through his eyes, which lets you know that he is really just playing this godlike mastermind villain, as he questions the existence of the cult and he does not really know why his followers are so entranced by him. The series hinges on how this absurd-like comedy quality, from this setting of misunderstanding that Sid has these delusions, and these delusions he thinks they are not true, but they actually are. I believe this will transition well into anime, and I'm sure people will enjoy this blend of comedy and seriousness, and many people will be entertained and really enjoy Sid's character. So our fourth series is the Faraway Paladin, a series that had an anime announced only a few weeks ago. We know it will be airing this fall, and it will be one series to look out for. In the Faraway Paladin, William, the main character, is reincarnated into another world. However, little does he know that he's born in a city of the dead, of which he's the only living member. He's raised by the three undead that reside in his town, and they teach him the skills needed to survive in this world. This is an interesting setup for the story, and in order to build this even further, Paladin spends a lot of time building the main character as it details his growth from a child through his training. However, his growth feeds a curiosity about the world that motivates him to leave the village eventually, to try and get to know the world he has been reincarnated to. This build-up for the adventure gives Will a lot of character and anticipation from the audience for his journey. In this journey, he will continue to grow as he sees a world that is neither absolutely bad nor good, with many homages to fantasy tropes such as kingdoms and monsters being at odds with each other. But within these conflicts, a lot of trouble are caused by the humans themselves. There's a great story to be told in this novel, and it can somewhat feel like jobless reincarnation in regards to the character growth and adventure, but without the harem or the ecchi in that series. If the anime can deliver it, then I'm sure a lot of people will enjoy the series. So our last series is Tensei Kenja no Isekai. In this series, the main character, Sana Yuji, is an overworked salaryman that dies and is transported to another world. In this other world, he quickly becomes absurdly overpowered, Whilst he does not destroy monsters easily, it is clear that he's simply too powerful for the world's standard. Of course, the fact he becomes really powerful really quickly takes away the tension of the story, but this is not unique to this series and is present in many isekai. Man, I'm really not selling this series, am I? However, taking the tension off actually works for this series, since it's, for the most part, an easygoing series with action-packed moments from time to time. Yuji is rather stoic due to his past life of only work and more work, so for most of the time he's traveling alone, with his creatures and occasional companions. In part this creates a feeling of adventure, because Yuji is constantly in the move, because he simply does not want to stay in one place. So the scenario is always changing. In addition, the slimes and creature can talk, so there is interaction between Yuji and them. These interactions are not comedic, but more peaceful, and that's not a bad thing, because it fits with Yuji's character. So hopefully he opens up more in the future and the world influences him just as much as he influences it. However, this story is not just about traveling and destroying any monster that causes trouble. There's a bigger plot developing, especially involving a cult that was thought to be dead, but whose actions started up again around the same time that Yuji was transmigrated. So there are vague plot points being developed in the background as well, and this series has a lot of potential for anyone that's interested in some soothing adventure and action-packed scenes. But it might not gather that much attention if the animation is not great. So hopefully, fingers crossed, and all 5 series in this list have great animation. So if you like this video, don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, leave a comment. What is your favorite upcoming isekai? Check out my blog, the Anime Dao. There's a lot of good content there, I think. Thank you very much. See you next time.